I would like to start with an example. So let's just think of the new Data Act that has been launched or that is in discussion, is about to be accepted, or which is done by the European Union. And since this is one delicate piece of document, every one of the members of parliament need to have formed an opinion on the subject. So what they typically do, as they are not experts, is that they will ask some of their experts in their environment to give them support and help them understand what the topic is about. And then, since they have those experts within their vicinity, they will convey their position and their opinions. And then somebody else within this room, of course, has the same demand and also needs to ask for some experts on their feedback and their evaluation. And this support, of course, happens for everyone within the members of parliament. And then, of course, they can go to these people directly, to the experts, and they will ask certain questions and they will get the answers, because they have different points that are important for them. So now, if you think of a very participatory process, and you would want this Data Act to be addressed by a majority of people, by a huge amount of people, then of course every one of them needs to have the same abilities to also ask experts on what they think about in order to form an opinion. Obviously, this cannot be done by standard human interaction. You need to have some kind of automized process and automized ability to ask an expert in order to get information. But the thing is, everyone has a different context and everybody has different questions and would understand the topic from a different perspective. That's why it doesn't work to just give them a handbook of read this and you will understand. It's a matter of discussion and going back and forth. So what we would need here is some kind of automated expert information. So we would need to have an expert, and from this expert, we would want the information in automized form. So then if we ask a question, we will get an answer just by exploiting the automized fashion. And if that is the case, then this has some consequences. One of them would be we get instant feedback, because if you send a digital request, you do a calculation, you will get instant feedback or almost instant feedback. You would be the expert would be available all the time, and that's scalable, which means you can use the expert information from one expert, but you could also combine the expert information from several people. So if you have a kind of difficult question to ask, then you would go for the first expert and say, well, what's your take on this? And there are still some aspects open, then the answer goes, or the question goes to another expert and to another expert, and all together this would form an answer to the problem statement that you were having. So if this was available, this would give a huge amount of empowerment to the citizens in order of problem solving, in order on forming a literate opinion on new subjects. So you could say this is, well, it's a nice idea. It's some vision out there, but we are far off. That's not actually what's going to happen, and it kind of never will. But at the same time, there are some initiatives, there are some activities that are going on that already point in this direction. And I'd like to give you 2 initiatives or 3, just brief ones, to give you an idea that this is actually not too far off. So how come that a guy from a mechatronics center is anyway putting out such a vision, such a statement? So we at our research center, it's Linz Center of Mechatronics, we do electrical engine design, so an electrical motor. And for those motors, we have digital twins. And in order to design new physical devices, we do a lot of simulation with the digital twins. And we have simulation flows, and we have representations of the the models in terms on mechanicals, and terms on thermal dynamics, electrodynamics, and some production process. And since those elements are digitally available, we can do simulations on them and optimization runs, and we can optimize in terms of cost and in terms of quality. So this has been going on for years. But now with the perspective of sustainability and, for example, CO2 footprinting, you could ask, well, can't we also optimize in terms of CO2 footprinting or the life cycle assessment, more generically speaking? Can't we attach these properties or evaluation processes to our environment? And then you find out that you can also optimize an electrical engine in terms of CO2 footprinting. And that's fascinating because nobody in our company is expert on the CO2 footprinting. But all of a sudden, we can design a device in a domain and in a perspective that we have never been thinking of before. And we are not even experts on, but we can deploy this kind of tool set. So this is appealing. And actually, there are more generic initiatives out there than not just electrical engines, but in the larger scales, there are initiatives that already point in this direction. There is, for example, the Gaia X. It's an initiative to provide an infrastructure such that you can provide digital, automized expertise, and you provide liability and auditability and traceability. Because if you do an electrical engine and then you build it into a, let's say, a wind park or a ship, and then it breaks down, and you said, well, I got this information from somewhere, and you cannot fetch this person, then there is no liability concerns, and you will never do it. But if there is an infrastructure that allows you to pinpoint who really was responsible for this kind of information, that gave this information to you, then that's possible. And there is this initiative, for example, Gaia X, that is working for those liability issues, for example. There are other initiatives like the International Data Space Association or others, such as the Data Space Support Centers and others that are working on data spaces and also service spaces, because those automated experts are digital services that you can acquire, and they need to live somewhere, or they need to be federated or put on some kind of platforms. And those organizations work in this regard. So if you interact with such an optimized expert, you do it via APIs. And those APIs are formed and considered as the API economy. And companies are very aware about the potential about API economy. Here's just a statement. It's actually even from 2018, where Salesforce heavily believed in the API economy. And not only them, there is another initiative which is called Catena X, which is applying the whole field of adding external information to your own processes in automotive domain. And here I just added, took some of the members that are within this kind of network, because they all believe that if you share information and at a later point in time use some services and automate services, you can create new kinds of values, at least. So there is the technical domain that's pointed out here. There's some kind of the abilities that we have also addressed at the very beginning in terms of the decision support in order to understand what's going on with complex documents. But there's also a lot of other directions where this could go. This could be enabler for circular economy. This could help us understand certain aspects of our everyday life. And now I would like to invite you to think your domains, research domains, and domains where you're active in the regard of automized expert services. So, and together we will put on some dots on this landmark, on this landscape of what is actually currently available, where this could lead to, and whether this is feasible or not. This will be the main aspect that we will be talking a bit later on. And now I would like to invite my colleagues to give their contributions and some potential aspects that could help us better understand potential ideas and potential aspects of this digital twins, automized experts, digital service domain and space that we are currently exploring.